Alrighty, welcome everybody to another episode of Lakers Detailed. I am your host Vinay with my co-host Raj. Uh, we are back for another episode to discuss a few topics that have just sort of come up. So we want to jump right into it. This is going to be atypical to what we normally do. We usually hit you with like an hour and a half of Lakers conversation, and we want to try out something different and try to lightly hit a couple topics. So we're going to jump right into it. Raj, first and foremost, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a nice, strange 2 days off between NBA Finals games. I'm not used to it right now.
Yeah, I kind of wish they timed this a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the conference finals were so rushed, and it feels like the NBA finals have a nice kind of break within 2 days between, I believe, game two, 2 days between game three. So yeah, it's stretched out. I think like if you're involved in the series, it's fine, right? Because you're kind of stressed through every game. But for us, we're kind of watching, as bystanders while other teams play. So you're kind of like, let's get this series going. But I'm good, man. Enjoying the quick summer before all the fun stuff gets started here in the draft and summer league and stuff like that. But how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Booked my summer league dates. I know you're locked in for summer league
Yes.
too, as well in Vegas. We're both looking very forward to that. At this point, honestly, I'm watching the NBA Finals. I thought Game Two was really great, and we're gonna get into that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought it's been kind of nice just having a break with what's gone on with
Hmm.
the Lakers season. We've talked about it a lot, but dude, I will tell you, every Monday morning, I'm at this point just expecting some sort of Lakers related, LeBron related news to continually drop because since the season has been over, that's literally what we've gotten, and that's what I had for the first topic today: the Kyrie news that dropped yesterday, which was quickly what's the word I want to use, like abolished from the timeline because Laker fans pounced on Chris Haynes.
Yeah.
Uh, he reports out for the folks that don't know or just need the refresher. Um, he Chris Haynes posts that Kyrie has basically been recruiting LeBron, trying to recruit LeBron to Dallas, and he's trying to that's like the main thing. And the additional thing that he tweeted out was, Dallas was preparing to send an offer when the Lakers looked really bad at the trade deadline, prior to the trade deadline this
Hmm.
previous season. And Laker fans very, very quickly hit him with the quote tweets, and he got hit with an avalanche, which eventually resulted in him deleting the tweet itself.
Yeah.
I didn't correct him. I just posted a picture of Luca in a Laker jersey because I was just like, okay, if we're gonna be dumb, then let's just be dumb all the way. Like, send us
Go all
Luca.
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of? What was your impression of like what was going on with that whole situation?
It's funny because this kind of dominated the news. But I think I hit you up. I was like, this is insane, number one. But what
Yeah,
I was thinking back to, if you remember last year, our season ended in April, but the Kyrie rumors were like instant, right? It
constant.
was
Yeah,
it was throughout the whole summer and the whole, because you just talked about summer league. Everyone at summer league, that was the conversation.
yeah,
It was like, when are we getting Kyrie Irving? When are they going to pull the trade? It's going to be before summer league for sure. Oh no, it's going to be after like a few of the games. Oh no, it's going to be right after summer league.
yeah,
And this like sat throughout the whole season. So I was just reflecting on how like the whole last summer was about the first round picks plus Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving. And now, even after a conference finals visit, the story that's going to, it looks like, permeate and dominate the Lakers is the choice whether to um, chase after Kyrie Irving. So I think that's,
yeah.
I think that's just hilarious. And it's now LeBron in a Dallas uniform. It's Kyrie recruiting a player to a team he's not even signed to yet. It's just it's a lot of craziness. And I thought it was insane at first, but when I saw Chris Haynes, look, Chris Haynes had some details that he got wrong in terms of LeBron being trade eligible. I think that's
Yes.
a pretty important detail. But the people giving the people giving Chris Haynes that info don't care about that.
Right.
They just that they don't care about that, or
I mean,
Shams
I
bringing it
highly,
up.
I highly for the folks that I know that work out with Kyrie and run his scrimmages because he's out in LA
Mhm,
when he does his practice in the summer.
mhm.
I don't think he has a salary cap guy in that friend circle.
Sounds like you're hard capped here. If no one's telling you that, like, oh,
Yeah,
the Lakers are hard capped if they trade for you.
yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't care about that. They just want to get the story out. And look, maybe Kyrie is texting LeBron. I don't know. It just wouldn't make. It doesn't make any basketball reality sense. Like, there's
Yeah.
just no way for that to actually happen. And LeBron's not going to go. Chris Haynes had buyout in his article. Like,
Yeah.
that's
That's
that's an
crazy.
that's insane. And I think I told you, I was like, the summer hasn't even started yet. Like, the rumor mill and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like, this isn't even started yet. So I guess this is the first domino, though. I don't know what this leads to. I don't know, like, when you push this domino, what's the last kind of one that falls? I'm not really sure, but I think this was just absurd. But what do you think when you first saw it?
Yeah, I'm tired of it, bro. Like it's like we did this last season. We did it, like it's very clear what Kyrie's doing is he's just using LeBron's name to help himself in contract negotiations. So if we take a step back, obviously, they have a bromance, and we know Bron does love Kyrie. We know Phil Handy, since he's now deleted the eyeballs tweets from the trade deadline. He loves Kyrie too as well. I mean, Kyrie goes to his camp. Phil Handy is
Sure.
respectable guy, everything. And but every single time this idea has been floated, it's almost always like us being super thirsty for Kyrie. And this was
Right.
probably like the first time where I think the actual fan base was like, no, you know what? Like, we're okay. Obviously, the folks who are very attached to Braun and that whole 2016 series comeback in the finals, like they're like, Kyrie's the guy, Kyrie's the guy. But it's just like, I think a lot of very rational, smart Laker fans are like, no, we don't want to get hard capped. If the dude wants $40 million, it's going to be impossible to keep like you're gonna have like six guys and then 8 veteran minimum players. Like, we don't want to do this again. And people are like, no, he's, I see the argument on the other side, like, oh, Kyrie's just super talented. He'd be perfect. And it's like, yeah, but as soon as like Anthony Davis goes down, you guys are going to be like, why can't we win games even with Anthony Davis out? We have 2 other superstars. Like, we don't need to do that whole exercise again. Um, Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, like, people maybe weren't watching Dallas, or even like in Dallas's end, right? Like, you look, I mean, if you look at it from their end, and I've seen like, well, they have the 10th pick. I promise the Lakers are not going after the 10th
No,
pick from Dallas. Like, that's not getting you. They're not trading LeBron James for whatever. Dallas has nothing to
yeah,
trade for, which is a Dallas issue as well. I think it's insane, Vinay, that Dallas has no one outside of Luka Doncic that I think any team would really.
true.
I like their rookie Josh Green. I think he's
Josh
a nice
Green,
player,
Jane
but Tim
Jane
Hard
Hardy's a really nice player too.
Jalen Hardy's a nice player, but again, makes nothing. LeBron James is gonna make
Yeah,
49 million next year, so like the salary you got to get to. Just a lot of stuff that you can like easily just check off. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if this is an idea that you even thought for a second was real, like there's like 3 boxes that you go to and we're like, oh, that's not checked. This can't happen. But obviously, this is
right,
the rumor mill, and this dominated even throughout the NBA finals here in these off days. But yeah, do I think the Lakers? I think people in the Lakers organization still have you know, a maybe want for Kyrie Irving? I think so.
for
Like,
sure.
I think you would, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, like, in a vacuum, people would want Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's not taking Lonnie Walker money. I
He's
can
not.
promise you that.
Yeah,
He's not taking the pay cut required. And then obviously, if you want to pay Austin Reeves, you want to pay Rui Hachimura, all that gets into it. But I think this is just ridiculous. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. And I think how the amount of people that ran with this as legit, I'm disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed. The
yeah.
amount of trade scenarios that I've seen popped up. I was like, hey, well, I mean, if you want
tech,
to get
tech,
out of the
the technically you could fit him in. I was just like, let's just think about it from a basketball sense, like this, not from like fitting into the equation. It's like at some point we can't keep doing this thing. Like, you just spent a year and a half complaining about us not having depth. Then we get
right.
depth, we go to the Western Conference Finals, and now you're saying, well, let's just go back to the same formula. It's just not Russell Westbrook, it's Kyrie Irving instead. It's like, all right, dude, what are we doing here? What do you guys want? Like, but I was gonna say, like, every single time this story has come up, it feels like it's always been a contract ploy by Kyrie. And when it happened in the summer, it was because Kyrie wanted his contract prior to that season starting. And there's that whole thing about, oh, will he opt out of the player option, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. Will he pass up $30 million and just take the $6 million TMLE from the Lakers? That never happened. No player is doing
No.
that. Nobody's insane enough to do something like that. Not even Kyrie, regardless of what conspiracy theories he has, he's not doing that either. He has common sense, especially with losing the Nike endorsement and whatnot. And then it happened again at the trade deadline when Kyrie was rumored to be,
Yeah.
Lakers, the Nets were asking for Austin Reeves and Max Ritchie. Like, I found out that the Nets didn't ask for any of that. Like, they didn't ask, they asked for picks, but they didn't ask for like Max Christie. Like they may have asked for Reeves, but they weren't asking for a whole lot. But the reason why that deal, from what I was told, it didn't work out is because the Lakers weren't going to trade for Kyrie without him being on a longer term contract. So the
Yeah.
easiest solution for Kyrie was just extend with the Nets, and then they'll trade you to us. That's a very common thing. A lot of teams do stuff like that. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go to Dallas, and it's okay. He wanted to go to Dallas. But here we are again, him mentioning LeBron in a situation where he's going to be having a contract extension conversation with Mark Cuban. I think this is just him driving up his own value, hopefully.
So here's the only part of this, right? Legitimize not the transaction between Dallas and the Lakers, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's happening. The only part that I can think of is, in my opinion, Vinay, I don't like Dallas has got killed for a lot of the decisions.
Yeah,
I do think they still have some smart guys in their room. I think Nico Harrison is I think he's good at what his job, at least he should be.
yeah.
Um I don't think they want to pay Kyrie Irving a super max.
They
That's
don't.
not his that's not his
Yeah,
market. It's not his market. Like Kyrie Irving's not a super max player. Now are the Mavs in a terrible position? Yes.
for sure.
Someone please, because no one's done this. They've just ran with the. Go look at the Dallas Mavericks roster. Just for
Yeah,
2 seconds, go look at their roster. They have JaVale McGee, God love him, signed for an extra 2 years. Davis Bertans is on somehow 2 more year contract.
yeah,
Tim Hardaway Jr. They have terrible deals. My point with this is though that I think Kyrie Irving could be like, hey, look, this is my negotiating ploy,
yeah,
right? My negotiating ploy is, hey, I have another team, just like a lot of teams do. They throw the Lakers in to leverage their player getting more money, right? And we've seen this multiple times.
for sure.
I can see that as the only ploy here. I can't see LeBron, number one, leaving LA where his son is about to play college basketball. And then you can do a million other reasons. Not even going to give that any type of legitimate platform of LeBron going to Dallas. That makes zero sense anyway. But do I think LeBron wants to play with Kyrie Irving? I do. Like I think that's a
For sure.
legit thing. I think
Yeah,
that's a legit thing that he would like to happen. Do I think Kyrie wants to return to LeBron? I think if all things were equal, I think that would be his choice. I
yeah,
think he would rather go play there, go play with LeBron somewhere. I just don't think the two have a way of getting together this offseason. But do you see that at least maybe as the ploy here where Kyrie's like, hey, look, I tried. Look, I tried to bring LeBron. Look, this is my value. This is why I should get the max. If you're not going to give me the max, then don't offer at all. Like
yeah,
some kind of sensitive way of going about negotiate because negotiations are tough. Like
yeah.
they're like that's why restricted free agency is always so like taboo and stuff like that, where like it gets weird, right? And players remember stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Remember,
Yeah.
I remember Gordon Hayward was like, I left Utah because they didn't offer me an extra year on a 5 year deal.
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
damn, that was 4 years ago, and like he left Utah for Boston for that situation. I'm not comparing those two, but like that's my only way I think like this could have any kind of real repercussions for the offseason. Other than that, I think it's just insanity. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think they do want to play with each other, so that's not a problem. But I think like they are both aware, like LeBron is aware that in order to get Kyrie, it would be extremely restrictive. Actually, I don't know if LeBron knows that it would be extremely restrictive to like we would get a hard cap. Like if we were talking about Kyrie being wanting to get like a 4 year, $100 million deal where he's getting paid like 25 million a year or like 30 million a year, even like a 390 or something, and then wants to get signed and traded to the Lakers, I would be okay with that. Like I'd still be like, okay, maybe it's a little tight, but we can find a way to squeeze that in because that's a reasonable number. But if he wants 40 plus $1 million, which is what he's going to want because that's the
Yeah.
leverage he essentially has over them, the Lakers can't make that happen at that number. If we are going to make that happen, then there's probably a good chance we're going to be razor thin on depth, or one of Anthony Davis or LeBron James isn't on that team to give us enough room to retain the guys that we have. So it's just my thing is like this idea that like I get it. There's a lot of familiarity. Braun has like spoken like on behalf of Kyrie. He's like one of the few guys of his stature that's like openly come out and said,
Yep.
post the stuff that happened with Kyrie's social media, like that he's not a bad guy and that he understands him like deeper than other people. And so it's like obviously Braun speaks highly of his teammates, but it's not like he'll do something out of the blue like that unless he really likes you. At least from what I've seen since the time he's been here with the Lakers. So it's like it's clear that he likes Kyrie and they have a great basketball friendship, and I'm sure a great friendship off the floor too as well. So it's like that's cool, but we got to win games. And if Braun wants to have to do less, which includes like less on the defensive side, we can't trade for Kyrie because then we're going to lose
No.
all the guys that are going to help preserve, keep him fresh for the playoffs next season. So it just, I just don't see it. It's just at this point now, it just feels like the
Well,
media is very lazy and they're trying to find a way to squeeze the Lakers in to the coverage between this finals games.
do you remember? So at the trade deadline, I think not trade deadline, a few weeks before it, the Mavericks traded for Kyrie Irving, and
Yeah,
then LeBron did like a sit down where he basically
bro. I got in so much
no,
trouble that day, but go ahead.
oh yeah, I don't want to get you in more trouble, but
No,
like
no, I
where
won't get in
LeBron,
trouble.
no,
All I tweeted for people that the tweet's gone now, but I just said like, dude, this is wildly unprofessional, dude. Like, just like we're one day away from the trade deadline. Just give it a day. Like these guys are going to be traded. You know they're going to be traded. Don't do something like that. But go
yeah,
ahead, yeah.
but you could tell he wanted Kyrie Irving. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that
for
was a,
sure.
that was the obvious thing. But like, yeah, it was very strange. It wasn't normal. You don't usually see
Yeah,
players do that. But anyway, LeBron went on. I forgot who he did the sit down with, but it's like, yeah, I'm disappointed. A guy I won a championship with, while those guys are still on your roster. I think we had a game or something that day too, or whatever. But I guess my question here is that, so I think Shams is clutch, right, as well, or
yeah.
and
He's
also
good. Yeah,
Chris Haynes is also clutch. Does this report come out, with without LeBron, not LeBron approving it, I guess, but without him knowing this report is coming? Like that was my only question with this, is my
yeah,
only wonder here. I'm sure Kyrie's camp can push this out in the way he wants, but I'm sure Kyrie's texting a lot of people. I'm sure a lot
for
of
sure.
NBA players are texting a lot of NBA players. You know what I mean? So this one like came out as like, oh, Kyrie texted this. I'm sure like there's a bunch of people texting each other. I thought it was strange the way that it was reported. It was reported as if David Manneman went on radio and basically shut this down, said
Yeah,
LeBron's camp has nothing to do with this. Sure,
yeah,
but like you know what I mean. So like that's the only part I'm interested in, is like, does LeBron have any part of this where maybe the conference final wasn't enough, where he's like, well, no, I still kind of want Kyrie Irving, and that's where this becomes a contentious summer to me. But because the front office has said one thing pretty clearly, they've used words like continuity, they've
yeah.
used words like core, they've used words like bring back as many players as they can. That coincides absolutely opposite of chasing Kyrie Irving. Those are two separate entities.
Yes, I agree.
You can do one or the other. That's my only worry here. I'm not worried about Dallas, getting Rob Pelinka at gunpoint and telling him you're gonna take Tim Hardaway Jr. in the 10 pick and like it. I don't see that happening. What I do, my only worry here is that like LeBron is going to try to grab Kyrie Irving this summer, and LeBron doesn't care about the salary ramifications of that.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like, that's your job, which is true. That's not his job. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I don't know if LeBron was consulted because the fact that Haynes deleted it like after, like
Yeah.
later in the day, like it just kind of makes me think that like I don't think this was something that was like it came out so quickly within hours it was taken down, and then
Hmm.
McMenamin comes out the same day. Jovan posts the same, Jovan, friend of the pod, like he writes an article the very like within hours that team sources have said that this is not like even in consideration. So they don't know where this is coming from. So it's like, like I said, I think this is one of those things where Kyrie is either actively in extension conversations or he knows he's about to have extension conversations, and he needs to be able to like win the Dallas fan base over, maybe like the perception of him that like, look, I'm just not trying to get a contract for myself. I'm trying to help the Dallas Mavericks be like the best they can be, which is good. It's not something that it's just you should be frowned on. It's just you went about doing it in a way that's not even legal. So it's like this is not even possible. So like if you're going to use the media as your pawn, you use the chess piece the wrong way because you didn't think
Yeah.
about what you were actually reporting out. Actually, I kind of feel bad for Chris Haynes, because like he probably didn't fact check it either. Like he didn't have a salary cap guy. Like Kyrie told him something. He's like, let me go write this article up and get it out. It's gonna be great for the engagement or whatever it is. And so we'll see, man. I know Braun wants him, but I think Braun also just wants like the specific pieces to be better,
Yeah.
so that he can preserve himself. And so whether that's like moving D'Lo, keeping D'Lo, bringing everybody back, moving other guys around, we'll see what that ends up being. But yeah, that's really all I have in regards to it. Do you have any other thoughts on the Kyrie side? I'm sure there's going to be more, dude. Like we're going to hear
Yeah.
something else at some point.
This was just the tip of the iceberg. I guess my last thing was like you talked about maybe this is him trying to get into the hearts of the Dallas,
Yeah,
fan base. least make a realistic one. Go chase like this made zero, and going to chase LeBron, like that makes no sense. And it gave great content for Dallas
Amazing.
fans, for for pods, and ESPN First Take obviously ran with it, and
The
it was
photoshops
like
are so good, man. These Photoshop guys are so good, dude. But it takes like 10 seconds to get LeBron's head on Raymond Felton's
oh,
body. It's amazing.
it's hilarious. I try to stay away from those shows, but you'll see some on YouTube, and they'll be like, yeah, yeah, Jimmy Butler won game two, but next Kyrie Irving is he going to the Lakers? Like, man, what a content, what
Yeah,
a
it's a
infinite
machine, man.
content machine.
You can't stop the machine. So another thing that came up after Game Two, which was not only a Lakers social media section complaint, it was something that
Yeah.
came from a lot of the people that don't like the Lakers, the anti-Laker fans or anti-LeBron fans. Were also posting this. Miami wins a thriller, right down to the
Yep.
wire, wins a game in Denver and in phenomenal fashion. A lot of the role guys step up, and the very first thing that hit my timeline was how come the Lakers couldn't win at least one
Yep.
game in this series? And so I think there's a pretty simple explanation. We could always get into the very hardcore details of it, but I wanted to give you a shot. Like, do you have a simple explanation? Meaning, like, it would take you 2 minutes. What would be your elevator explanation as to why the Lakers did not win at least
Yeah.
one game against the Denver Nuggets?
It's probably a more sad answer than I would like it to be, but like to me, their stars hit jump shots to close games,
Hmm.
and like ours didn't. Like to me, I'm watching Bam hit every mid range jump shot. Jimmy Butler, when it's time to go, hit a mid range shot, hit a 3-point shot in the corner.
Yeah.
Their role guys hit shots. I thought in the fourth, and their transition defense to me was way better than ours. So we let Denver get loose in transition, and those games were still close. But that was like it was I've already rested that Denver series to me,
Oh,
but
for sure.
Miami winning game two definitely brought out some demons. Like, oh man, like they were able to, you know what I mean? Like, because Denver went back up 12 in game two. Like
Yeah.
they regained control of that game, and it felt like, oh man, this is about to be a really short series. And give Miami credit, they mixed in their zone a ton.
Yeah.
That's a lot of guts to play that, against Jokic, and try to, keep him in where you can kind of control the terms of engagement, not trying to, frustrate Eric Spoelstra there with the untrained eye and all that
That was
conversation.
such
But
a yeah. We'll cover that
no,
another one, but that's a
yeah,
great
yeah,
that's a great bar.
uh,
I love
that's
that.
a
Yeah.
great line. Yeah, I think he knew what he was doing too. But
Yeah.
yeah, like that was my kind of holistic view. What'd you think?
No,
Why couldn't we win a game?
no, I absolutely agree with you. I honestly, my simple explanation is our two stars were never on this. Like, they were never playing well at the same time at any point in that series. Like, we would get games where Anthony Davis played really well and LeBron was kind of up and down, and then we get a game where Anthony Davis was kind of like whatever, like Game Four, and LeBron was going ballistic. We had
Hmm.
halves, quarters, but really each one of those games came down to the fourth quarter, and in the fourth quarter, they completely out executed us on offense. Like, a lot of people, we talked about this in the last thing about the whole Miles Turner thing. Like, I don't think our defense was the issue. Like, our interior defense, I don't think was
Didn't
the
think so
issue.
either.
Like, we didn't have guards that could keep up with Jamal. And in the bubble, we were able to just throw LeBron on Jamal, and we couldn't even do that this time because LeBron's 39 and he was getting screened. He's not getting around those screens the same way that he did 4 years ago, 3 4 years ago. And so, like, they out executed us. This is legit my only explanation for it. You watch the games, even if you don't watch any of those games, other than like the last 5 minutes of every fourth quarter of all four of those games, that will tell you exactly why you lost. And you know, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say the most annoying part to me, because there's a lot of hindsight going on in the
Oh
analysis
yeah,
of that series, and people bring up to me, our defensive rating, and I'm like, that's true. Like Denver they had a hot offense in terms of the numbers, but those games didn't feel that way though. Like
no,
it like especially in those fourth quarters, those felt like tight possessions where every single bucket mattered. Jamal Murray had to hit tough shots. Jokic hit like three Sombor shuffle jump shots to
yeah,
like win those. And I'm not throwing away the numbers and the analysis there. It's just like I think it's not right to be like, well, they actually couldn't guard Denver at all. Like, I don't think that's exactly what happened.
I
Like
agree. Yeah,
I feel like it was our offense that failed us. Like we had a bunch of chances there. We've talked about the LeBron 3-pointer in transition, game two, the two AD threes late for no
yeah.
reason.
In
You know what I
game
mean? Like
three, yeah,
yeah, in game three, and then I forgot what happened in game four, but yeah, like to me, that was the reason. Their stars and their guys hit jump shots. Gabe Vincent was hot. Caleb Duncan Robinson's going nuts in
Yeah,
this series. Like, been nice to have one. Like that's the Malik Beasley role. Malik
yeah,
Beasley was unplayable for us, so um, I think that's why Miami's up. And Jimmy Butler, honestly, when he hasn't even really gone
nope,
off yet. I mean, he
yeah.
had 21 in game two. I forgot what he had in game one, but he hasn't really gone off. Bam is the one that's scoring off of all those actions that AD had 40 in game one on. Like, it's still same type of stuff that Denver's going to try to give up. The pocket passes right there and all those floaters and stuff is what Denver is going to try to live with, and Bam is making them pay for that. And I think that's been the difference so far.
Yeah, I think the story of that series and us even not being able to take one game is just execution, and a
Yeah.
lot of people are giving crap to Darvin Ham, and maybe a substitution here or there was an issue, but really I didn't see very much issue with what schematically we just couldn't execute. There's no way to overcome a player who is just not performing. Like,
Yeah.
we talked about it after game two when LeBron took that three. I literally told you, I was like, who's going to tell LeBron that that's not a good three to take? And we got the post game quotes from Austin and from Darvin Ham saying that's LeBron James, like he can take that shot if he wants. And I was just like, okay, like whether our stars don't show up or our stars miss their jump shots, like you mentioned at the beginning, like we can't control that, and I can't get mad at the coach for that. And so that's just the way it works. Lakers didn't hit enough shots to at least be able to take a game. And kudos to the Heat, that they were able to. Spo is a fantastic coach. He will literally throw the kitchen sink in a single game at a team if it means that it gives them a chance to win. Ham is a rookie coach. I don't know if he would go that far, but he showed the willingness to do that by playing Lonnie Walker in game 4 of the Warrior series that
Yeah.
ended up winning this game. So there is some of that there, but I don't think we didn't exhaust all the avenues for us. I think we didn't make shots. We didn't execute at the end of those fourth quarters. And so I wouldn't take a Miami Heat finals win as like a negative against like our franchise. I would just look at it as Denver made their shots, and look, Denver had a bone to pick with us. Like we beat them and then won a championship against most of those guys that were on that team. Like they had an edge. Like they were playing like they wanted to. Mike Malone was like he's still talking about us in the finals. So it's just like,
Insane. Absolutely insane.
so
And
it's
then
like yeah. Go
the
ahead.
one also annoying thing is watching KCP just look normal, look human. Like, now he looks human. You know what I mean? Like, he's like fouling 3-point
Yeah,
jump shooters, and he's just not in. He's out of control.
yeah,
Like, where was this last round? Like last round he was like on point defensively. Every possession was locked in.
yeah,
Didn't foul. I don't think he fouled a single 3-point shooter.
yeah.
In the last round. This
He
round he's already had
played
like.
D'Lo off the floor, man. Like it's nuts.
My only thing is, so I've seen this. Do you think we? So to me, Miami obviously they practice their zone.
Yeah,
They, that's something that's instilled in them, and suppose one of the few coaches that gets his players to buy into his zone.
for sure.
A lot of coaches can. The reason they don't run it is because players don't really. They're not as aggressive or they're not as locked in. I don't think that we would have gone to it. I just think that's a really interesting wrinkle that Miami was able to pull out.
Yeah,
In game two, and people thought they wouldn't use it against Jokic, but I thought it was an interesting way to kind of. Obviously, you're not going to stop him. Jokic had 41 still, but like I just think that was an interesting wrinkle to kind of again control the terms of engagement, right? Like, you're not going to stop Denver's offense, but I thought it was interesting to where like the pick and roll is kind of what's coming, other than
yeah,
like where Denver can kind of pick on you all over the floor. And again, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., of course, all look freaking human now, missing shots, and that's the part that annoys me. It's like, man, those dudes did not miss. Aaron Gordon looking freaking normal in game
yeah,
two, just
yeah.
but yeah,
Well, unfortunately, Raj, we can't take those games back. We can't replay them.
nope,
So it is what it is. But hopefully expecting a nice game tomorrow. I think the series will
yep.
still be very tight. Denver will make adjustments. Miami will probably still continue to make adjustments, and we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully, they just continue to be competitive games because that's been phenomenal. Like competitive basketball is worth watching. So it's
Yep.
it has been fun to watch them. But that's all I had. Those were the two topics that we had for tonight's chat about it. Did you have any final thoughts before I let everybody go?
No, I think that's it, man. I think this was
Yeah,
fun. I'm sure the Kyrie Irving stuff won't stop. This is just the.
yeah,
I don't even think he can accept like an extension for another couple months. I don't even know how that works,
yeah.
or, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see
I'd have
what
to look
the
up the
games look like.
dates. Yeah, I'd have to look up the dates to figure it out. But yeah, that's probably a conversation for another time. But yeah, once the
Yep.
finals gets done and summer league comes around, we'll have the draft and we'll have free agency start opening. That I'm sure we'll get a lot of chatter from there. Um,
Yep.
but as always, this was a wonderful chat. I want to thank the folks that jumped in for this conversation on Lakers Detailed about Kyrie and why the Lakers couldn't win a game against Denver. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. If you missed any of this, this will be up on the podcast feed. Me and Raj appreciate the support on the podcast feed.
Yes.
That the numbers continue to grow significantly on there, and of course, I'll post the video on YouTube as well if you prefer it in that format. But as always, we appreciate you and the support that all the listeners give on whichever platform you do it. And if nothing else, we'll catch you in the next one. You take it easy.
Peace.